Goblin Monday. I will say I did like Jafar.
And that your year has started off amazingly.
Yo, 1st of January and I'm fucking sick. Do you hear that? Oh my god, disgusting. I haven't done anything, I've just like rotted. I was supposed to film top 10 films of 2023 and look at me. But I'm supposed to start this. I haven't started. Can I read you? Do you want to hear me read this? Too bad. I could read it. The little portion here. Matthew Sharapa in his top 10. So starting it. That's why. Some time ago, when I told my father I would write about him, he replied, "But what have I ever done with this life?" "You've done so much," I said. "I've done nothing at all." He sighed. "All I've done is live through it." Anyway, happy fucking New Year.
Commencer avec Jean-Luc.
What should I do?
Alors c'est pas une petite personne qui va m'apprendre mon boulot. 2024, read and eat around the world. Yes.
Hi, hello, y'all. I sound decent. I think I still sound a bit nasally. I'm getting over a cold, if anyone's forgotten. I have this like odd mix of books to talk to you about because I've been out and I couldn't speak because I was coughing and hacking and full of snot, and now listening to myself speak now, I think I sound actually pretty awful, so bear with me. But I just want to talk about the book that I want to call my last read of the year. It was not, spoiler alert. We'll get to the next one in a bit, but y'all, I finished Eileen. I talked about this in my December wrap-up and my runner-up for top 10 of 2023, but I don't think I have given it time to really given like a proper review within the vlog sphere, but I think I said everything that I needed to say. Honestly, it's just very atmospheric and I enjoy the build-up and sort of the shift in genre to create a very wholesome conclusion with its thriller and suspense element. Yeah, oh, and I watched the film as well. I think the film does a very nice job of being a companion piece to the book. What is so interesting about this is that you're really inside Eileen's head, and within her like compulsive, obsessive nature and her like kinks, if you will, you get a sense of who she is and where she comes from. Whereas in the film, she's very much this like plain Jane. And it's so interesting that the female lead for Eileen was cast because she looks a bit like Moshfegh, in my opinion. But the issue with visuals, film as medium, is that you don't get the interiority that you get per se in a novel, where you get first person narration and you are really inside Eileen's head. And that's why you dig deep, 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 and you just like fall into the depths of her quote unquote insanity, but like just her very selfhood, where her traumas come from, why she acts the way that she is, and why she falls head over heels for Rebecca. The film, I think, just adds a visual element to everything, and I think Anne Hathaway's performance adds a bit more color to Rebecca as this very elusive and alluring figure that I don't think was detailed enough within the book, but the film provided that. So I think both the book and the film go hand in hand. They really do just buddy up and bundle well together. One is not better than the other. Looking through the Letterboxd reviews, I am so disappointed that like there weren't a lot of people who went into the film having read the book, and I'm just like, oh my god, you illiterate fucks, please pick up a book. Like, just the way that they talked about the film as well just said a lot about how they had no idea that this was originally a book. Yeah, my new favorite holiday read, if you will. And for the film as well, I think a very fun double feature would be Carol and Eileen together. You know, I miss the Castro Theater and asked if they would do fun double features. If they were to do one for this holiday season for 2024, it would have to be Carol and Eileen. But I've said everything that I needed to say. I think I'll do a tier list of some sort eventually. I just think that like the hardware and technological things that I have to do to create that tier list is just a bit overwhelming for me at the moment. And yeah, like y'all, I put out like 3 videos this week. A 4th one, there'll be a 4th on Sunday. I think just end of the year stuff is just, and I thought that I was going to put out a top 10 movie list for 2023, but I'm sorry, there is a man screaming about vegetables once again. And my windows are closed, like they're shut tight. I thought I was gonna do a top 10 films, and then I came down with this cold and I was like, I sounded nasty and I was like, I can't, I really can't. I should just stop talking now because I'm hearing myself and it's getting really annoying. Actually, y'all, my last book of the year was Goosebumps House of Shivers Goblin Monday by your homeboy R.L. Stein. You know, I'm gonna do a video on this, but my theme for 2024 is nostalgia. I'm turning 30 this year, so I really want to look back at the things that have made me, and reading R.L. Stein back in the day really made me who I am. I loved horror as a kid. I just loved evilness, you know? One of my role models growing up was Ursula. God, she was a drag queen. And, you know, I love the lore about how she was created from Divine, the drag queen Divine. And yeah, that just like made me fall into like John Waters movies and everything. But yeah, I just loved villains. You know, I will say I did like Jafar, okay? I loved Red Genie Jafar. What can I say, y'all? But getting to the book, yeah, I read Goblin Monday as my last read of 2023. Am I proud of it? Not really. But it was fun. It was fun. It's a good 3-star read. If I was a little youngin' and I got this for Christmas and I read it, that's a good Christmas to me, if you ask me. But this is being published March 5th of 2024 by Scholastic Books. And if y'all didn't know, I need to put y'all on the record, Scholastic Books last year decided to go with letting schools opt out of diverse and queer minority books. They'll continue publishing minority voices and minority narratives, but they've allowed schools to opt out of that, which I think is quite sad. I think the decision should have just been to just have the books. Censorship is stupid. Canceling out voices is stupid. Like, we're in 2024. Why are we still banning books? And to allow like these schools to ban books on top of like a very low literacy rate. Like, you know, I've watched a few of those TikToks about how kids are reading at like below their grade level because of the generation of iPad kids that we're breeding. I don't want to go into all of that, but bottom line is nobody should be banning books. Books should be available to all kids. Like, let me tell you, I read The Da Vinci Code when I was in 7th grade. And before that, I'll be honest, I was reading stuff that I was not supposed to be reading. But you shouldn't be censoring stuff, because I am still so glad that I read Henry Miller and William S. Burroughs, or tried to at least, in the 6th grade, okay? Just to like come across that vocabulary, and it made me who I am today. I don't think I would have the expansive palette that I have without those books, without those early reads. Marquis de Sade. I don't want to go into it, okay? We don't need to, Celine, we don't need to get into it, but I was reading and looking at stuff that I shouldn't have been looking at. Like, what kid is watching A Clockwork Orange in the 6th grade? What is he doing with that? But we'll say, it really has created a very expansive palette for me. But where am I going with this? Okay, yeah, but Scholastic, you're dumb. If you're watching this, reconsider what you're doing. Because to put too much power into conservative schools, those schools in the middle states, like putting bans on books that you're publishing, that's like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Goblin Monday is about this kid named Mario, and he sees these little goblins, and he tries to prove to his family that they exist, so he tries to take pictures of them, show their trackings and everything, and then ends with a very, very brutal end. Curiosity truly killed the cat, but here, kills Mario. But it's fun. Heart 3 stars, won't spoil it for you. Good one for the kids. Fun, good stuff. And then I went to see my father, just finished this moments ago, by Kyung Shin. It's really hard to describe what this is because it delves into memoir, but it's not at all. It's literary fiction, but it's about this daughter who opens this chest that belongs to her father and unleashes quote-unquote family secrets, family history, Korea on a very historic level, all involving her father and better understanding who he is. It's definitely that narrative where you haven't talked to your father in a decade or two, and when you unleash Pandora's box, you know everything that you've always wanted to know, and it's a very healing process. My issue with this is that I don't think it's a novel. It's a novel trying to be memoir, but also it's the very act of spending the last days of somebody on their deathbed and really just like going back into the past, wanting to ask all the questions that you never got the chance to ask. And it's just that. I was reading this Goodreads review where they were saying how they had like read the first few pages and then they like skipped the entire middle and read the very last few pages, and it was the same experience. Or so they thought. It's the same experience as having read the entire book. To some extent, I have to agree with that, but also if you've ever spent time with someone in their last days, patience is required, and patience is required when you read this, because you are dealing with so much history, so much heart, so many different people, and you're trying to figure out who these people are alongside with our narrator. And you have to be patient with her father, as you would be patient with someone that is dying right beside you. But yes, it's that very experience, and that's it. So if Shin's point was to create the very experience of that, then she has achieved it. But at first glance, it's very much just what feels like notes, what feels like tiny little drafts towards something, but isn't actually there. Not to say that this feels like it's in the first draft or anything, but it just feels like notes, and just like very long notes to a larger work that she's working on or for something else. And I believe I was reading something else, and this is apparently serialized, so that's probably where that feeling comes from. Yeah, so the very trouble with this being sort of an active representation of collecting all of this history alongside someone in their last days is that though it is sad, it is boring as well. It is sad and boring, which makes this a very depressing winter read, and probably very fitting for January, but not as the first read of the year. I didn't have a very good time with this at all, but like, it's that difference between boring and patient that I don't know what to do with. And I'm left with saying that this is a 3-star read. But yeah, but you know, like, that whole process is boring. Those long hours at hospice or like at the retirement home, if anybody has spent those hours before, like I have, there are just like big lulls where you are indifferent to the person in front of you and you want to look at your phone and just like drone off elsewhere. It's so strange. It's so strange to be involved in that person's boredom and then want to feed into a different kind of boredom because of that. And you feel so guilty for it after the fact, but yeah, I don't know. Perplexed by this, but it is a very blue book. Very, very sad. And you know what? I will read this line for you because I think it is beautiful. Also, I'm going to make sure that I never, ever go beyond like 30 minutes whenever I do these sit downs, because it's like, I've been doing it for like the past few videos and I am not having a good time editing it. Y'all, I am so annoying. I swear to God. Okay, here we go. 219. Would you understand if I told you that reading enabled me to accept myself? I could understand humanity through books, how weak we are, and also how strong we are, how endlessly good and yet endlessly violent. People for whom things did not turn out the way they wanted, who fought unhappiness all their lives. They leave a trace of themselves, traces of having endured unspeakable situations. I wonder if my act of reading was a search for such traces. I guess that's it, right? It's the experience of reading this that's tracing the outlines of, right, the act of sitting alongside a life, sifting through histories, being bored by it, being sad by it, but getting the chance to ask all those questions. If I'm to leave you with something, I guess it's that I hope that if you are in the midst of someone in the last years of their lives, that you ask all the questions, because there is much regret, speaking from experience, much regret in not having asked those questions. Yeah, oh, okay. Before I leave you, I don't want to end on such a depressing note, Jesus. Unboxing. I am no way a beauty influencer, but this has been making the rounds all over social media and in Korea as well. But these Riedel shots, this is Real Shot 50, but apparently this is like micro needling in like skincare form. And I was like, excuse me? One's for my mom, that's why I have 2 boxes. But I just want to show you. So you're supposed to do it like every 3 days. Yeah, you put it at the beginning of your skincare routine. It's supposed to sting, it's supposed to feel like needles, but it's supposed to help with texturing. My skin, by all means, is like pretty not great, but what I have, an issue that I have is like texture. So there are just these like, I think you can see it. I don't need to explain myself, do I? But yeah, I just want to like fix the texturing here and sort of like the dark spots and everything. So I'm gonna try this out. I'll let you know how it goes, but excited to try it out. Yeah, okay. That's it for today, y'all. Thanks for listening to me blabber about Moshfegh and goosebumps and sad shit. Jesus Christ. What is the face of this channel, honestly? Anyway, as always, be well, do good work, keep in touch.